accidents are the leading cause of death for American teens, and many of these accidents involve alcohol or drug use. Southern Nevada has one of the nation's first week-long summer camps devoted to educating teens about the causes and devastating effects of alcohol and drug abuse. At their 1988 convention, the National Association of Student Council members identified alcohol as the biggest problem in their schools. These student government leaders said that nearly 2/3 of their friends and classmates drink at least weekly. Society's formerly lax attitude towards alcohol and drug consumption and driving under the influence are changing, while laws are becoming stricter and more heavily enforced. SAD, or Students Against Drunk Driving, was organized in 1981 by a Massachusetts teacher and coach after 2 of his athletes died in alcohol-related car crashes. In 1985, the CARE unit established a week-long camp at Lake Tahoe for recovering teenage drug abusers and alcoholics mixed with non-using high school students. The next year, the camp was moved to Mount Charleston and was attended by 24 students. After that camp, SAD chapters were formed at several Las Vegas high schools and junior highs.
We saw potential for expanding the program beyond what CARE unit at that point was offering.
In 1987, the Southern Nevada DUI Task Force and City of Las Vegas Lower Court Counseling took over the renamed Southern Nevada SAD Camp. Funding came from the United Way, a Department of Motor Vehicles grant, and community donations. In 1988, 65 Southern Nevada teens attended the 4th camp to learn more about alcohol and drug abuse and to develop skills to identify and help friends with problems.
Some of these kids have known a friend, maybe a family member, or maybe somebody that they come in contact with on a regular basis that has some kind of a problem. Or in many instances, we've had teenagers who've lost family members.
It takes months of planning to make the annual SAD camp a reality. Community organizations, including the school district, health district, the courts, ambulance companies, and law enforcement organizations, participate in the planning process.
I think the SAD camp and all these kinds of efforts are really an effort to change a whole new generation of Americans who really don't think drinking and driving is all right, and we can't afford to think it's all right.
It teaches them a certain amount of awareness in terms of DUI, alcohol, and drug education, and I think is extremely important for the Las Vegas community.
We teach kids, but we also are in the business of working with students and creating well-rounded students, so we're concerned about them.
Kids drink to get drunk, and that's the problem. They drink to get a major altered stage of consciousness. They drink to get drunk. When they're drunk, they drive their cars, they get into fights, they lead them into other kind of bizarre behavior.
The laws are tough and they're getting tougher, and the day has stopped when law enforcement officers will take juveniles home or call their parents to come and get them. That day is gone. It'll be no more, and they'll be dealt with harshly.
The Legislative Committee of the Southern Nevada DUI Task Force is working to make legal sanctions on drinking teenage drivers even more restrictive.
As a juvenile or provisional licensing plan, this would require additional training of juveniles in alcohol awareness programs prior to getting a license. And then if there's any type of alcohol-related driving offense, whether it's a DUI or just having it in the car, between 16 and 21, the juvenile would lose their license and would not be re-eligible for a license until they're 21.
The camp begins on a Sunday when the campers gather to board buses from Mount Charleston. They say goodbye to families, take pictures, and load their week's worth of clothes and supplies on the buses. The scenic Mount Charleston campsite is the picture of serenity until the buses roll in and unload 65 anxious campers and about a dozen counselors. They all gather for cabin assignments and a quick run-through of the rules.
Sign a piece of paper with rules and regulations on it, and that is done so that everybody knows exactly what's expected of him or her.
The main purpose of this camp is to better educate you on the dangers and issues that goes along with abusing substances, particularly as it applies to driving, drinking and driving, and drugs.
The campers are told about the speakers who will, over the course of the week, explain all aspects of alcohol and drug abuse. The goal is not only that these students will leave with a personal commitment not to do drugs or drink and drive, they're told that their peers are more likely to listen to the SAD students than adults. Then the campers head out to find their cabins, make beds, unpack, and get settled. They're assigned chores and are introduced to each other.
What we decided to do is break you guys up into groups so that you only have to do one meal, so we don't all have to go over and do 3 meals.
So around from here, your name and schools, and we can just kind of squeeze around in here and like that.
Ground rules are established about personal conversations and confidentiality.
The girls who come up here before know this, but get pretty close up here in the week, and so you'll be sharing some really personal stuff. And we respect each other's space, and we respect each other's privacy and confidentiality. So anything that a new acquaintance might tell you or wants to share with you that's very private, you know, that's between you and she, and it's not to be shared with everybody, okay? So that's a very important part about this camp.
Monday morning, the series of lectures begins with a counselor from a local treatment center.
I started drinking when I was younger than a lot of you. I'm not telling you that because I'm proud of it. I'm telling you this is just part of the history of the substance abuse problem in our country and in our world.
He traces the history of alcohol use and abuse to the earliest days of this country.
As far back as 1790, the United States was racked by excessive drinking even among the devout dogmatic Puritans. Intoxication came to be such a public menace that the government passed a federal law rationing a daily 1/4 pint of brandy, rum, or whiskey to each soldier. The first outbreak of drug abuse to cause national concern occurred at the height of the 19th century Industrial Revolution.
The next speaker, a Metro police officer, explains that the leading drug used by teenagers is alcohol. That's followed in popularity by crack, cocaine, and marijuana. Alcohol is the easiest for teens to obtain. Often it's as close as their parents' liquor cabinet. Crack or rock cocaine isn't much more difficult to find, and it's inexpensive. This second most popular teen drug is also more than 90% pure cocaine.
It is so addictive that we've actually had young people, boys and girls, between the ages of 9, 10, 12, 14, submit to anything that you can conceivably think of, from prostitution to anything you want to do with a human body to get another hit. That's what a true crack house is. A real crack house is not a place where you run up and buy crack and split.
In the late 1980s, the street value of cocaine is declining, while the cost of marijuana is escalating, making cocaine more available to teens. The campers are shown samples of the most common street drugs, and the importance of SAD chapters to combat drug and alcohol use is emphasized.
We've got all the law enforcement, we've got all the school teachers, we've got all the moms and dads, and we haven't been able to fight it. So we got to do it from within. And it's going to be your job, your mission, when you get back, is to take the knowledge you get here and grab one youngster your age and get them off of this junk before it kills them or they kill you.
Many societal and genetic factors lead to alcohol and drug abuse and the individual's ability to deal with these problems. Some psychologists claim Adlerian birth order can predict behavior.
Adlerian psychology tells us that our behavior is self-determined, goal-directed, and powerful. It also looks at the birth order as a means to help counselors and therapists gain insight into a person's behavior and attitudes.
Generalities having to do with being an oldest child are that they are more conscientious than children that are born in other positions. They achieve higher scholastically. They go to school longer. They tend to be more eminent. They also tend to be more jealous. They tend to be angrier than people in other birth orders.
Then the campers break up into groups for an exercise, simulating being lost in the Grand Canyon for 3 days. Each must find their own survival skills.
In our group, we have